know if we're going to have Bob today? We haven't heard. Okay. Well, he's got one more minute.
Is Tim there?
Tim is calling in.
Oh, all right.
Yep. I was going to shoot him a text.
Are you okay?
Yep. He'll just get 10 texts. Everybody texts you.
I'll wait 5 minutes before I can. I'll leave a second room.
I am not doing that.
In all caps.
Trying to build bridges. Build bridges, not burn bridges. We'll give him a minute or two to see if we hear from him.
Recording in progress.
Hey, when Tim gives his report, I'd like to add an update at the end under his report on some changes coming to the Brown Act. So, I'm giving everyone a memo on what's happening with the end of the state of emergency.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just give a brief verbal update as part of Tim's report, and then send you all the memo later this week.
So we are not going to have Director Morgan today. I'm going to shoot Tim a message. Do you see him online?
This is coming up under different.
What is this doing here, Vern?
We'll give him until 5 after and then get started one way or another. If we can have him for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Did you hear it was 2-foot sand drifts from that last windstorm out on the ramp?
I believe it. I asked Nicole if it was in the job description, shoveling sand. All that sand by the front door.
So much. I'm just glad that big old piece of plywood.
I couldn't see the airport from my house. It was just gone.
This is the first time I've ever called into AWAS for entertainment. Just, it was at IFR for blowing dust.
We didn't count, but I'm going to guess it. Hopefully just doing sound.
Mm-hmm. That's wild.
And how had to come?
Where was this? Where?
Here, windstorm. Was it last Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many trucks? The trucks that were all turned over up here?
7 of them, I think.
There was a row of them.
Oh, I saw a bunch of them. Yeah.
I counted.
Carrie, do you have 10? You have 10 now? Okay, great. That was, we have everybody we're expecting. All right. Okay, got a hold of Director Morgan. He's going to be unable to join us today. Hopefully he's staying safe from the storm that's incoming. So calling to order this regular board meeting of Board of Directors, Mojave Air and Spaceport at Rattan Field this February 21st, 2023. Well, could you be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call. Director Coleman.
Here.
Director Valentine.
Here.
And Director Allred.
Here.
Director Barney is here. That is 4 out of 5. We have a quorum. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None opposed. Agenda is approved. Do we have any community announcements, public comment for items not on the agenda?
We're going to be calling
Are we expecting some folks? Oh, great. We have a
Is there
flyer.
someone online for the Career Expo that wanted to speak? Is there someone online from the Career Expo that would like to speak?
Okay. Well, if somebody does call in, hopefully they will pipe up later. Okay. Did anybody else want to speak to that? Or I know we have this flyer in front of us. Does anybody have a high level? No.
Not really, other than it will be here, and we are reaching out to our tenants to expose them to what's happening, and potentially introducing our tenants to visitors and college students to, get everybody on the same board with what we before.
So it's
A lot of the local schools are participating, so they'll be busing in several groups of children
Excellent.
for junior high, high school to kind of get some exposure to them.
well, that's great. Okay. Yeah, I guess if you Google East Kern Career Expo, I'll let you find out more that way. Any other community announcements? I know that Plain Crazy this week. So both Kathy Hansen and Steve Rushford wanted me to say that, they wanted me to pass along their immense gratitude for how much help they had this time. This was the first time Plain Crazy had a speaker who was remote. So she called in from Florida over Teams, and it worked completely seamlessly. So thanks to Jason for helping us out ahead of time to understand the system, and then real time Nicole popped in to make sure everything was okay. And of course, Tim was here on site. And so thanks to everybody. And security was immensely helpful with the absurd quantity of Ferraris. So I don't remember Plain Crazy that was this busy. It was borderline experimental flying level of attendance. It was a couple dozen aircraft and just tons of people everywhere. I know there were tours going on at NTPS. So there was a lot going on, and the airport was just put on such a wonderful welcoming face. So thank you to everybody for presenting.
And I really appreciate Kathy. I know it's a lot of work. I always feel like without her, the airport doesn't have a public face. And this is a way, a lot of people talk about it. If we got friends or relatives coming in, something to do. And so I just want to give a lot of kudos. That's really important to us. And I'm happy that we're able to support her as much as we do. And,
Well, seconded. I'll make sure
Kudos,
she gets the
Kathy.
message.
President Barney, it looks like someone has their hand raised for a comment.
Yes. Who we got?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Patty Orr, and I'm a contributing writer with the Mojave Desert News. I just wanted to say, as far as Plain Crazy Saturday goes, I attended Plain Crazy Saturday this last Saturday, and I was amazed. It was a wonderful presentation that Anna Bennett did as far as the Strata launch goes, and the Ferrari. It's something that is truly amazing. And I have to also give my thanks and my compliments to Kathy Hansen. She has done an outstanding job. I have covered Plain Crazy Saturday for the last 4 months now. And it's like every time I go, I see different planes, I see different presentations and things. It's just, if you've never been to Plain Crazy Saturday, and 4 months ago was the first time I've ever been to Plain Crazy Saturday, so if you've never been there, it's really, really something to see, because every event there's something different. And I applaud the Mojave Air and Spaceport. I applaud the board of directors. I applaud Kathy Hansen and just everyone who was involved in putting this on for the community of Mojave. So my hat's off to all of you guys, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the kind words, Patty, and thanks for attending. Hope to see you at the next one. Any other community announcements? Anything coming up? Anybody wants to advertise other than the Career Expo? No. Okay. All right, consent agenda. So we have the minutes from the board meeting, which was about a month ago at this point. We missed the last meeting, just staff was unable to attend. And then we have the check register. Did anybody have anything they wanted to talk about with those items? No. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A and B.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the 2 items on the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None opposed. Consent agenda is approved. Action items. Our first item, we have the Steinmetz Hangar sublet agreement. Is that something you're going to talk about, Scott?
I'm happy to talk about it since my name is next to it. If Lynn is there, she may want to chime in as well. This is a request from Mr. Steinmetz to sublease Hangar 968. I believe it's to Mr. Henney, but Lynn can confirm that. We have no problems with the sublease, and we recommend the board approve it.
All right, so Lynn, did you have anything to add with the microphone or no? Okay, she's shaking her head. Does anybody want to discuss on the board? Anyone online want to discuss? No. Okay, so as I understand it, the motion, should one occur, would be to approve the sublet agreement. This does require a motion, right, Scott?
Yeah.
Yep.
This requires a motion and a vote. Yep.
I motion to approve this agreement, Hangar 968 sublet.
Second.
Okay. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None opposed. Item B, Impulse Space Incorporated land lease for Test Site 1. Tim, you want to tell us about it?
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Impulse Space, I don't know if you guys have heard of them or not. They are actually in the space race to get to Mars before SpaceX. That is why I'm extremely excited to have them based here at Mojave. They have been renting and conducting a propulsion test at Test Site 12 under an access license since February. They have been discussing and want to expand and make their Mojave their permanent location by constructing a self-encapsulated test site and placed at Test Site 1. That self-encapsulated test site prevent any kind of QDs or quantity distances. So because it's all contained, self-contained, which is a perfect site, a perfect building for Test Site 1, and it is a rocket test construction. They're also looking at including a 5.17 acre parcel of land so they can have 2 other test stands associated with the Test Site 1. We have done we've negotiated with them, and they're requesting a 5-year lease with 5 1-year options. And let's see here. And highly recommend the board approve this land lease agreement for Test Site 1.
I just got a curious question. Are these the gentlemen we're seeing online right now?
Yeah.
Very good.
Hey, guys.
Thank you for coming to Mojave. I'm just curious for my own purpose why you chose Mojave.
It's just recognized as a place of excellence for testing in California. It's got security already built in. It's got infrastructure. Power and water will be available pretty close. We looked at other sites in California, and this is really the only one that is able to get into and testing soon.
Great. Those are things I like to hear. Are you a California company, or did you come from out of state?
California company here in El Segundo, soon to be in Redondo Beach.
Well, thank you very much for choosing Mojave. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions or points of discussion?
A question I have, how long would the lease be? Is it many years? Or?
Sorry.
It's 5 years with 5 1-year options.
Very good. Thank you.
I'll move to improve the land lease with Impulse Space Incorporated.
Just real quick. Okay.
I'll second.
Yep, we're just making sure that there's no public needs to chime in. I caught you this time. Usually Scott catches me.
I just want to hear.
Yes, I want to be here too. Okay, sounds like there's no public comment. We have a first and we have a second. All those in favor of approving the land lease for Impulse Space Incorporated, say aye. Aye. All opposed? None opposed. Welcome, guys. We're happy you're here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item C, Edison easement for a test site. I see DOF and I see degrees of freedom. No.
I'll take it.
It looks like it's short for Floyd.
It is. This is just a standard underground lease extending Edison's existing, easement. It extends Edison's existing easement about 2,000 feet down to Virgin Galactic Site 14. It follows the established roadways or drive lanes. It does not conflict with any underground infrastructure, nor does it cross any other lease boundaries.
So does that connect from the main entry point to Virgin Galactic hangar?
It is essentially connecting, well, not their hangar. It connects their test site to their existing easement, which is east of the boneyard in the propulsion area.
Got it. That's what I saw here.
Just to help my memory, we originally put in power out to that point.
Correct.
And then this is just what we were hoping for to get.
Just extending it to 2,000 feet down to their
this is
site.
very typical of a easement improvement.
Yes, we've done a number of these on the land side over the past few years. This is one of maybe 2 or 3 we've done on the propulsion testing area in the last few years.
Sure.
But it is a standard issue.
Any other discussion from the board?
Who picks up the cost on doing that then?
There's no cost to the district. So the Edison pays the cost for recording the easement, and then the cost for the infrastructure shared between Virgin Galactic and Edison.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions from members of the public?
A motion to approve the Edison easement for the test site.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None opposed. Item D, resolution approving an amended budget for fiscal year commencing July 1, 2022.
That's me. Good afternoon. Just wanted to, as we've talked about, just mid-year, we kind of go over our actuals that we've spent up to this point, make any minor adjustments. So once again, there's only a few adjustments that we wanted to make, nothing that really makes a huge impact. We will have the New Year budget workshop in May. So any of the big adjustments we'll make at that time. Just some of the high level items that we did adjust. We did increase the operating revenue $100,000 because we did have additional access license that we didn't anticipate having. So that was additional revenue. On the overall operating expenses, we did increase it $50,000. Some of the accounts that we kind of moved money around in were, we decreased the non-cap just due to the actual spending. Communications, we did not have the FAA communications bill that we anticipated, so we could bring that account down. And then tenant retention, because the fitness center is doing much better than we anticipated at the beginning of the year. Areas we increased for supplies and utilities, and that's just due to the cost of everything increasing.
But the increase was more than we anticipated?
Right, just, I mean, yeah.
Because I know an increase was anticipated, right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, but just based on the way everything is going right now. Repairs and maintenance, we did increase just because we did have an increase in that due to that lightning strike. So you'll see that we did increase repairs and maintenance, but on non-operating revenue, we did receive their check. So the payment's down below, so we just wanted to increase it in the operating side.
So in a similar vein to that lightning strike, did we have any unexpected costs that were significant associated with that windstorm last week?
Last week, we're still assessing the damage right now. We didn't have anything like the lightning strike by any means.
Nothing
Most of it was vehicle windows, there's some roof repairs, but nothing to that size.
Not a whole roof didn't blow away.
Right, exactly, yeah, we're not, but we have a work order open and we're continuing to add to that.
How much does insurance cover those costs?
For the lightning strike, we had a $5,000 deductible.
Okay.
But with that lightning strike, we got the new PAPIs, and then because they did, that was part of the insurance claim. And then just some of the repairs. So the deductible.
For example, the windstorm last week, was that an insurable item that happened? I mean, the tree came down and everything like that. Is that part of insurance or is that normal operating?
Since it didn't do any of the damage, and that's what right now we're assessing, because each item might have a different policy.
Mhm.
For instance, the vehicles, we have several windows that blew out,
Yeah.
but each vehicle has $1,000 deductible.
Okay.
So if the windows didn't cost us over $1,000, we don't turn it into the insurance. So it's kind of a case by case on what damage. Do we damage buildings? Do we damage vehicles, equipment, and kind of go that route?
Moving out all the sand.
I mean, we have the sand. We don't necessarily add a cost to that since we're all doing it in-house. If we had to bring an outside company, then we would put that on insurance. But we try not to put too many claims on the insurance unless we have to, so we don't raise the rates.
Please don't run and put a finer point on this. I'm just curious how many man hours cleaning up that sand may have cost.
Well, we're still working.
Still working.
Yeah.
We've had the entire staff dedicated to it since last Tuesday.
Doing business in the home.
You should have waited until the end of this week.
I think it's an interesting point. We're working on a response plan for sandstorms because, believe it or not, sandstorms behaves very similarly to a snowstorm, especially with windrows and drifts. So Chris is actually working on a notification entry into a sandstorm and then recovery from a sandstorm procedure. One of the things I noticed is that it's no fault to anybody, but there's some nooks and crannies that I wish were cleaned out before Plain Crazy Saturday, like in front of the restaurant. So we're trying to develop a plan so we can have a systematic way of approaching and recovering from these types of events.
You know, it's interesting. Sorry, go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, thanks. Removing sand is a good thing, but I saw a lot of, like in the GA hangar area, there were like panels come out of the side. Is that, how many of those hangars were affected, for example? What kind of damage?
Only really one.
The one.
Panel, the one with the panel.
Yeah.
Those are things that we probably look at
Right.
before we remove sand.
And
we did have one door blow in, one other door blow. So that same building actually lifted the door and took the pins out.
okay, it's facing the wind.
Exactly. We had another one where it just came off the track and we had to just reset it.
And kind of the repeating of the insurance on that. I mean, is that an insurance thing? Because that's
I think the answer is
1,000-ish or more.
it's eligible, but
Yeah. Okay. Minimize.
we need a few, there's a tipping point.
Yeah, choose your claims.
Yeah, because the property policy, that has a $5,000 deductible.
Okay.
For the autos are 1,000, so that's what it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not.
All right.
Tim, you made an analogy to like a snowstorm. This is just off the wall.
Oh, I mean, I know it's kind of a weird comparison, but the sand
not.
like blowing snow in a lot of ways. So at the airports I come from, you have a snow plan, which outlines notification procedures that you take to protect your facilities and equipment, and then a recovery plan. And I think that's really going to help us out in the long run, just so that we all are on the same page and we can set priorities. Because I absolutely hate hearing tenants call in the morning and say, "Hey, I need somebody to dig me out of my hangar." And it reminded me of snow removal. And I thought, you know what? Let's try to stay on top of it. Let's have a recovery plan so that our tenants feel comfortable knowing that once this occurs, we're going to have as little interruption in operations as possible.
Okay, well, I was going a little different direction, and it probably doesn't make sense, but you have snow fences, with sand fences, since most of that sand comes off of our property, and most of it's moving across the ground, and I realize it'd take a significant fence to maybe at least slow some of it down. I don't know.
It's not a bad idea, and there's two aeronautical engineers sitting right now that could probably explain how it could work. And believe it or not, airports use snow fencing for snow mitigation as well.
Sure.
That is something we definitely will need to research. It could potentially help, especially if it's migrant dirt that's coming in through the fence line.
Well, it's coming north where most of the activity is. And anyway, I'm good enough on that. I just, you made me think about it.
To answer Director Barnes' question, it's approximately 400.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Hopefully the
And
storm doesn't come today.
that was this week.
Which is this week.
And it's still ongoing. So still more man hours. Thank you for the estimate.
Yeah, it's the doing business.
So overall, that was the differences on the operating side. Just some of the on the capital items, we did have to shift some things just due to the immediate need. For instance, the building 1 HVAC unit went out, so we had to do that. The offices had no heat, so we really needed to get that fixed. And also the roof repair or the new roofs on GA hangars, and 71 and 77. And then also the taxiway A project, which Tim will talk about next in regards to getting it shovel ready for the FAA because there's monies available. So we did add those items on, but in looking at trying to see what we can take off so that way we didn't spend, we didn't add on a whole lot. We took off the digital entry signboards, drone detection, and GPS equipment and a vehicle just to be placed on hold. We'll revisit those when we go to do the budget workshop, but for the immediate need right now, we felt like to swap out the new roofs and the AC unit and take off those items. So we're just asking today just to approve the resolution to revise the 22-23 budget.
So jumping back a little bit, help me understand the $100,000 associated with the access license.
We've gotten several access licenses, like when Virgin Orbit, when they don't necessarily sign a lease, they do an access license. So that goes into other revenue. So we didn't anticipate that. And then also some additional land leases that Paxton did. Mm-hmm. So they go onto an access license versus a lease. So, yeah. So that was just weren't anticipated when we actually did it.
The significance of approving this resolution is what?
It's just so you guys are made aware that we are making these changes internal,
But it needs a resolution.
As a resolution to acknowledge that the board is aware that we are making these changes.
Hey, let me chime in for just a second. But budgets are planning documents. Agencies frequently are under budget or over budget. There isn't really any legal significance to that. Budgets are adopted by resolution. They're submitted to the state. Because it's adopted by resolution, you amend it by resolution as well. So that's why we're having you do a resolution today.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any comment from members of the public? Got you, yeah.
See Valentine, you Jim?
No, you always ask for comments before you take the roll call.
No comments?
Straightforward.
Okay, all of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Not opposed. Budget mid-year update is approved. Okay, and that leaves us with the Taxiway Alpha lighting rehab project.
Madam President, members of the board. So the FAA ADO office, after telling me for the first several months I was at Mojave that it's going to be a long time before there's discretionary funds for any discretionary projects on the airport, turns out that they were wrong. This is a good thing, by the way. The ADO office advised us a couple weeks ago that they know that on our AIP list, we need to replace the Taxiway Alpha lighting circuit. The reason why is because, and Floyd can really hammer this out for you guys, I don't understand measuring very well, but the circuit measure is so low that it's so far below FAA standards, and I think it's kind of a miracle it still works, especially after that lightning strike. The FAA said, hey, at the very last minute, if you guys can put in for a discretionary grant, AIP grant for Taxiway Alpha lighting circuit, there's a good chance that you guys get it this year, which is great because that's worth about $1.5 million. It would be an AIP grant with a 90-10 split, with the 10% the responsibility of the sponsor. With I believe Carrie, $158,000 of that's eligible for state Caltrans matching as well.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. So basically, what we're trying to accomplish in a very short, limited time is to turn around the design and scope that Mead and Hunt did for the redesign of Taxiway Alpha. We did do an independent fee assessment. It came back higher than what Mead and Hunt had submitted for the project, so that's positive. And so basically what we're trying to do is just get this work completed, shovel ready, in preparation for award of an AIP grant, a discretionary grant. The fiscal cost of this, just for this preparation work, I'm sorry, let me go back. Mead & Hunt is providing design engineering services for the project. So basically what we need to do is front load or basically pay out to Mead & Hunt to do that design and engineering service, which is reimbursable by the FAA, by the way, but to allow them to get all the work accomplished that they need to submit to the FAA in April for consideration for this grant. So the staff recommends that the board approve up to $168,727, once again, fully refundable by the AIP grant, in order to provide design and engineering services for the lighting project.
So to clarify, when we say refundable here in the document, we mean reimbursable?
I meant that. I apologize. Reimbursable.
Yep, just making sure we're clear. So what are the odds we spend $168,727 and that we don't get the grant? What is the consequence there? Does that mean we have the project on the shelf ready to go if we get it in the future?
Yes. This would be all the work to get it the project shovel ready. So essentially, let's say we don't get the grant, but it's eligible next year. It would be actually considered by the ADO a higher priority because it is shovel ready. So it's like I think they call it the low-hanging fruit. So there's nothing aside from spending the money. We would eventually be reimbursed with AIP eligible projects. There's little to no risk here, in my opinion.
Question, Tim. You said 90% FAA funds, and was it 10% the Caltrans funds?
Well,
so that makes 100%?
10% is the responsibility of the sponsor, and Caltrans will match some of those funds up to $150,000.
So basically, no cost to the airport then. That implies.
Well, we're still on the hook for 5% or more than that, depending on this project cost. So. But that's typical of any grant that you get with the FAA. The sponsor is responsible for 10% of the share of the project because we have to have some skin in the game. But most states will match that or match it to a limited amount, like here in California.
So that'd be 5% of 1.5 million then?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 75,000 or so.
This is, and I've said this before, and I know in the past the board has had a shovel-ready project. I think we should continue to do this because this has come up from the FAA several times while I've been on the board. And sometimes having the matching your 10% funds and having the project pre-engineered and ready gives you a go versus other airports, maybe they don't have it or don't have the money to match. So I'd like to see us continue to do this, whatever the next project might be. I would like to see that come up and be brought to the board.
I agree with Jimmy's sentiment. Absolutely. Look, in airport world, it's well known. If you have your project shovel ready, if any discretionary funds become available, and sometimes they do because some airports can't meet the match or are not shovel ready, those funds can go to another airport that is shovel ready. It could push up some of our projects basically on the list of priorities.
So with the airfield lighting, is that an upgrade and we're going to have more taxiway lights available?
Yes, you would, and signs.
Any other questions from the board? Questions from online?
I'll give you a motion on item E to approve the text.
One more question, sorry. Mm-hmm. Backing up, sorry. I mean, it looks like the net cost from the airport is about 75,000. Is that what it is, or are these estimates that might be more or less than 1.5 million? Is it 75 is the max, or?
The only time I could see going over what is estimated for the project costs is if something pops up that they weren't planned for and we have to do like a change order. But generally speaking, I mean, going into this blind, and by the way, electrical circuit projects usually don't have those types of problems. I anticipate that this is, matter of fact, I think this project will probably be cheaper than what we're going to be allocating and budgeting for, based on the independent fee assessment. So without committing myself to a firm 75,000, I'd say that it's a safe bet that that's ballpark really right where we're going to be, where we'll land.
And then the worst case is we don't get the grant and we will have spent almost 170,000 and not gotten that back yet.
But and one thing we have to also consider is that if you turn down an opportunity like this with the ADO's office, they have a memory, and that could affect future projects. So we do definitely want to try to make this work out, because we want to show good faith to the FAA, but also they're giving us something we desperately need, you know. So I don't see any problem with this. And like you said, if we have to shelve it, if things fall through and we have to shelve it, that 170,000, once again, it's still reimbursable once that project does go live, once we do get it approved.
All right, so we have a motion.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? None opposed. Looking forward to improving our taxi.
There has been cases where Caltrans didn't have the money available. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay. I kind of think that is a nice extra, but I usually don't count on it. I don't know how their finances are right now.
Right. I think with all the COVID, they've actually had more money available right now with all the COVID.
You
Yeah.
can spend 10 to get 90 on something that's desperately needed. That's a good way to spend it anyway.
Right, on to the report. So are you up first?
Yep. So this is the month for December 31st. So this is what we just did the mid-year on. The bank balance for the month of December did increase $400,000, and that was, we had a property tax deposit because we get it in April and December. So we received that payment in December. Our operating revenue is at 53% and operating expenses at 36%. Fuel sales, we had about 40,000 gallons sold. It was a little bit lower, but that was just due to being December and with the weather, the holidays. I did talk with Harold. We did keep the fuel sales, just as a FYI, on track, though, where we originally budgeted, because we felt like now we come into springtime, people will start flying more testing. So we did keep them the same. On the AR, American Verde, they've been on the over 90 days the last month. So we did do the pay or quit. They did not pay for their hangar. So at this time, we're asking for the board approval to issue an eviction notice. But I'm sure, Scott, do they have to take a vote on it or just give us the direction to move forward?
I'm going to barge in before Scott. Does that need to be an action item before it's something we can set a motion on?
Yeah, it does need to be an action item. And if we did the notice to pay or quit already, then the next step is for the board to approve us to file an unlawful detainer lawsuit to evict them. So how about if we put this on the agenda for the next meeting, if that is the staff request, and we'll go into closed session and we'll discuss it as a potential litigation item.
So is this something that needs to be done urgently? Should we call a special meeting, or is this something that...
I don't feel it needs a special meeting. It could wait 2 weeks.
What's it look like the total loss will be?
Let's see, they currently owe 1858. So they do have a credit because we do take deposits now on the hangars for this situation. And as of right now, with the credit and what he owes, it actually is probably almost break even, but that's with the deposits. So that's not supposed to be meant to pay his rent.
Carrie, let's talk about this offline, and we think that we need to initiate a lawsuit. We'll come back to the board at the next meeting.
Okay. And the other one on AR SpaceLink, and Lynn is working with legal on that one. Fitness Center has 555 members right now, so they are continuing to grow. Yep. That's all I have.
Wonderful. Include anybody online? All right. Thank you very much. Okay, Floyd, you're up again. Sorry, I couldn't wait about my sandstorm questions.
That's okay. And I really don't have anything to add to the report, but as we did discuss, we've been focusing on a lot of effort on the last sandstorm cleanup and preparing for the storm that's coming. Just a couple of things to note that as soon as the storm passes, we are scheduled to get back into the GA area and do additional crack repairs. And a big date for me is the 23rd, which is the flight check on the 1230 Pappies. So they are installed. They have been tested. As soon as they're commissioned and flight checked, then they'll be turned on.
So is this both sets?
Both sets, 1, 2, and 30. And
Wonderful.
they're ADB SafeGate model. They're LED and they are self-leveling. So big improvement.
Wow. All right. That's much fancier than what we had before.
So other than that, I don't have anything to add, but I can answer questions if there are any.
Mm-hmm. Any questions?
Compliments for the crack repairs that's been being done. It's a big improvement. So
appreciate that. We do
continue on.
I didn't put the detail in my report because things are sometimes subject to change, but our next goal is to do the long transverse crack from the gate that runs all the way to the taxiway.
Right.
So that'll be within the next 2 weeks, as soon as the storm passes after the first week of March.
And I believe the oldest one is approximately a year old now or so, and that's been holding up well.
Yeah, there's two that are about a year old. There's one close to where your hangar is, and then there's one over by the wash rack that's about the same age.
Yeah,
and they're weathering the same. They have opened up a little bit, but I think it's manageable.
Mm-hmm.
So for calibration of the Compass Rose, does that involve an outside agency coming in?
Yes, it does. It's Compass Rose Calibration Company, Inc., one of the very few that we were able to locate that actually do this.
That's a good name. Good name.
And they will be here March 1st. So we've removed the old markings, and then they'll be here March 1st to survey for the new markings. We'll seal coat after that, and then place the new markings down. And as part of that is for quantity discounts, and just to make a more appealing project, we're also seal coating and striping taxiway Echo at the same time. So.
Any other questions? Any questions online? Oh, how do you like your prospects for applicants for your maintenance and groundskeeper positions? Good set of folk?
We've got a good pool of candidates this go round. So we've
large
got a
number?
Large number, yeah.
Awesome. Glad to hear it.
About 10 of each that we're interviewing for each position.
Super.
Very optimistic.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Tim, you're up several times in a row.
Yeah, lots to tell you guys. No, Madam President, members of the board, going through the updates for the CO report. Runway 1230 rehabilitation, we did get granted performance bonds. Now we're just going to send the documentation over to the FAA for their seal of approval and continue moving forward. The inland port. So as you guys were aware, when we have a letter of agreement between Pioneer Partners and Mojave Air and Spaceport to be the government sponsor for a couple of their grants that they've put in. In return, we get some infrastructure improvements from that. They did advise us last week that the DOT raised grant. Let me rephrase. There was a preliminary report from the California Port Improvements Grant that indicated that our requests, the inland port, fell right in the middle of all the other requests for other places that are pursuing inland ports. We feel that's very positive. There's a good chance, fingers crossed, that we'll be awarded that grant. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, and I'll update you as more information comes in. Director of Operations hiring, good news. We did make an offer, and she did accept. Her name's Ariel Sewell. Ariel was working at Fresno Airport as their SMS manager and was previously an operations officer. Funny story. She just finished up her master's degree, felt a little bit burned out, so she went to work for the zoo in Fresno. So she's the safety manager at the zoo. So she will be well qualified to work with all you guys. I feel confident. I have to, in all seriousness, though, she is an excellent candidate, excellent credentials. She was named in the 40 under 40 for AAAE, which is a great thing to actually get when you're under 40. So I think that the board will be pleasantly impressed and satisfied. Great personality, understands the philosophy that I go with, don't say no, let's figure out how. And the philosophy of Mojave Air and Spaceport, which is, it's we're not here to bang you over the head. We're here to figure out how to help you. So I'm really, really excited to bring her on board, and she should be starting about mid-March.
Wonderful. I know I will be greatly relieved once you have your director of ops on board.
I can't wait, guys. I cannot wait. Ops tempo is really picking up at the airport, so I am seeing an uptick in operations and things that we have to do. So that'll be super helpful. The water system update. The project's independent fee assessment has been completed. Survey work is to commence in the next couple of weeks. The hangar development update, just so the board's aware, I'm constantly working on this project. I feel a little bit invested because I've always wanted to build hangars. So here we are. And that means that I tap everybody I know that builds hangars or knows something about constructing and financing hangars. I do actually have a call out to Oshkosh. Thank you, Chuck, for sending me that information. As you guys know, the Oshkosh director is a former intern of mine, so I should be able to pump him for information. But unfortunately, he's been on vacation. So, we are working on trying to figure out how to finance the project long term, looking at 3 years, seeing if there's certain parts or aspects of the project that we can do in phases. So, really focused on process with that. I'm also working with Mead & Hunt, who has this person that specializes in GA hangars because he's the former director at Tahoe Airport, Tahoe Truckee Airport, who's been helping me out with that as well, trying to find financing options. I also did meet with a Dr. Gil Keenan last Friday, who came out to look at the site. Gil is the CEO of Local Equality that specializes in financing local government projects. I don't want to go down that road. Most airport managers wouldn't for T hangars. However, we want to look and see and make sure if there's any viable option that works for us that's available. I've also been talking to a lot of people that do development, even at these conferences, and letting them know, hey, we're trying to build. We just need somebody that wants to commit to doing the project. So a lot of discussion and learning an awful lot, but this is a project that I'm laser focused on. The hypersonic corridor update, no updates as of yet. CSF meeting with the Speaker of the House. So when I was at the CSF or Commercial Space Flight Federation conference in DC a week ago, the board members, and I'm a board member of the CSF board, had a meeting with Speaker McCarthy, who continues to demonstrate that he is a very significant supporter of transportation and space, and more specifically, Mojave. So he did advise me that he and his staff are planning to come out to Mojave soon, although I didn't get any dates. CSF is working on a bill to fund infrastructure improvements for spaceports. As you guys know, right now, we don't have an AIP program for spaceports. Hot topic of discussion. I think CSF is going to request that there's funding in the next fiscal year for up to $120 million, and obviously we'd want to, kind of dip into that. Maybe that'll take care of those runway sides that we've been discussing so much. But it looks like it is gaining some traction. So maybe we'll have another funding source to work on some of our infrastructure projects for spaceport side of things. We did have a meeting. Cerro Coso Community College did come out to the airport and held an Aerospace Workforce Coalition meeting. It was a workshop with our tenants to gain insight on the workforce demands here in Mojave, with the goal of establishing eventually an aerospace training program for technical trades and aerospace degrees. They're very interested in the technical and trades, or are trying to fill some gaps that exist with our tenants. We did have a good turnout from our tenants and stakeholders. The Dean of Saracosa was also in attendance, very supportive of this initiative as well. If we're successful, the main goal would be that Saracosa eventually has an extension based in Mojave. They are going to try to set up a ground school coming up either this spring or summer, just to kind of dip their toe in the water a little bit, and we're going to kind of take it from there. But Saracosa is very interested in doing this, and as it turns out, when I was at CSF conference last week, so is ASU, Arizona State. They actually have an aviation program, and they're working on aeronautics and space programs. So more to come with that. But the interesting part of this is we've been discussing this a lot in the Spaceport conference side of things yesterday. Marketing your spaceport and trying to develop those community relations and trying to get a pipeline into your spaceport. Believe it or not, we're not the only spaceport that's doing this right now. Several of the other ones are as well. So that just demonstrates that we're at least in line with what everybody else is doing. And I'd like us to kind of take it a step further and kind of have a program before everybody else. But it's not a competition, but we do want to stay relevant. You know what? Floyd stole my thunder. I was going to close this out with another positive with the 1230 Pappies, but he already briefed you on that. So that's all I have.
Well, Floyd cheered quietly in the corner. So. Hey, it's good news. I'm just glad to hear it. Any questions for Tim from the board?
Say hi to Todd.
I did, actually. He sends his regards. His wife is doing much better.
Oh, great.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful.
I have two comments, if I may.
Yeah.
First, Tim left out maybe the biggest news, and that is, go ahead, Tim.
Well, I don't know. Don't we have a closed session to discuss this one?
No. So, a closed session for this, it is a done deal. 7813 and 927 are officially done. We are getting signatures from everyone today. I would like to thank Tim and Lynn for all of their work in helping to finish this. It has been a process, but it is done. I had the confirming email from Scale's attorney this morning. Lynn and Jason worked hard to wrap up some final details in the lease agreements. And so congratulations, everyone. 7813 and 927 are completed. So that's one thing I wanted to say. You let Floyd and I steal your thunder today. Maybe it's because you're not there. So.
That might be slightly better news. That may actually win. Do we have a ceremonial bulldozer lined up? I feel like some fanfare for this.
But Tim and Lynn both did a ton of work on this, and I appreciate all their help. The other news is not quite as happy news, but it's not bad news. But on the 28th, the state of emergency in California is supposed to come to an end for COVID. That means all of those executive orders will expire. And on March 1, we will revert back to the normal course of business. However, in the meantime, the legislature has made a couple of changes to the Brown Act. And so they will affect, the board will have to make a decision on how to run its meetings. There are a couple of effects that we'll have to consider. One of those is that we will have to go back to posting locations on agendas, posting them at those remote locations, and those locations being available to the public. However, there is an alternative that we can use. If 3 directors are present at one physical location in person that is open to the public, and those directors that are appearing remotely are constantly visible to the public, audio and video, so no blacking out your screen if you're a board member. And so that's an alternative procedure that we can use. I will be sending an email to all of you updating that. The other big change is the legislature has tightened up on the number of meetings that can be missed and the reasons for which meetings can be missed. Essentially, it's 3 strikes and you're out unless there is just cause for missing a meeting, and just cause will now be a defined term, unlike in the past where the board just exercised its discretion, but there's now specific metrics for what constitutes just cause. I'll be sending everyone an update on this. I just wanted to let you know that that's coming down the pathway and will be in effect as of March 1st. So no more AB 361 resolutions. And we will kind of be back to business as usual as of that date. Thanks for your time. That's all I had.
Great. Thank you, Scott, for the update. Much appreciated.
Hey, I wanted to thank Scott too, Lynn and Tim, on this lease thing. But you too, Scott. It was quite the journey.
Yeah, Scott, you really killed it. This has been your baby.
Well, look, Lynn carried a heavy load, so I appreciate everyone's efforts and the board's patience.
I would like to see a progression of events articulated by values of Scott's blood pressure.
Is there like a lease burning for this?
Thank you for getting that all back. I think that does it for reports. Well, I guess, did any members of the public have any questions for Scott? No? All right. Okay, and we don't have any standing board committees. I don't see a need to appoint any, and I'm looking around the room, and I don't see any dissent on that front. Okay, director comments for items not on the agenda. What you got?
I have one I'd like to go through. Tim, you might, the last meeting, the airport rent study document, I've been reviewing that again, and some of my questions is, how much did that cost? And is this a requirement needed? Because I'm looking over and the details are so skim of the reality of the airport. I don't understand why this serves a purpose for the Mojave Airport.
Yes, I was requested to go ahead and conduct, or have this study conducted. This study costs $50,000, and yeah.
I don't think it's worthy of even $1 myself. It's not worthy for projecting the future for rents and everything. It's mistaken all over the place, so there's a lot of mistakes in it. And I've been part of the hangar system for many decades, and I'm a hobby specifically, and there's a lot of flaws in the report. So if people are taking that as factual knowledge.
Could you give me examples of what you perceive as a flaw?
Like some of the hangars with the sliding doors were considered average when they should have been poor, and other things like that.
Well, I mean, that's the subjective part of the study, is what do you define as being poor, fair, good, or excellent?
The other parts is they didn't examine the competing airports like Tehachapi and Fox Field and maybe some of it, but they failed to show what
they did use Fox Field as a comp, and I asked them not to use Tehachapi because Tehachapi is not like airport.
Well, the Mojave is as unique as it gets, and I don't understand why we're comparing ourselves to those airports and what
it's a business practice, and it's a very commonly practiced in our industry. AMCG is actually, believe it or not, the only entity that does a study like this. The study information, it's informative. It's just to inform us where are we sitting with our hangar rents based on condition of hangars and also the airport itself and the amenities. Finding comps for other airports that have similar amenities, you're right, Mojave is extremely unique. It's very hard to find comps for our airport. However, the AMCG did provide a list of airports that and I agree with them on several of them, that are comparable in services and also like physical location, amenities. There's things that go into effect. You're never going to find a perfect. It's not comparing an apple to an apple. It's comparing an apple to like a Fiji apple. Okay, so This is just an evaluation. This is just so we know where we sit on our hangar rents.
When I physically am unable to open or close a door in a hangar, calling it good, it's a tough sell to me that is subjective, that reasonable people could.
Which hangar was that, Diane, that you were having problems with?
I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but there were two. I know if we go back to the recording, we talked about it extensively. I will say that I do believe, in fact, Tehachapi, TSP, when it comes to general aviation tenants and trying to attract folks for T hangars and general aviation hangars, Tehachapi, I would say, is our number one competition. And I would say Rosamond is number 2, tied with Fox as number 3.
Rosamond's a sky park. It doesn't count. It's not a comp.
Disagree. It's not something you could call a comp. But remember, there's a lot of amenities that are different. But where do you think I'm renting space for my aircraft now? Because there wasn't space here.
Remind me, are you renting through the airport itself or the sky park itself? Or are you renting through as a sublet through somebody's hangar that's built?
It's sublet through individuals, right? But when we're talking competition, you've got to look at your alternatives that fit the same bill. I forget the MBA terminology for it, but it's suitable alternates, right? So what would make somebody pick Mojave versus subletting from somebody at Rosamond? I know the report includes features that we don't have, like on-field maintenance. Sorry, we do not have that for airframe or power plant. That does not exist. We have avionics, which is great. There's not a ton of avionics shops in the world. Like, I like going to ASB. I think they're pretty good. But what was it? Rentals? That was another flight instruction they also said we have, which we do not. We do not have that. So there were just some things in the report that it was glaring. I hate to call out a product that we paid for, but it was not good.
It was as sloppy of a report as I've ever seen, and that's not exaggerating. And so
I'll pass it along to him.
Like you will, but my opinion is that we shouldn't continue this type of report for $50,000. It's got some negative connotations because when it does have, they got maintenance facilities there, let's go there. Flight instruction, let's go there. So there are a lot of flaws in it that people are going to find, the Mojave Airport was misrepresented on this report. And you create more dissension from people when they say, I'm never coming back to Mojave again because you deceived me with the report that said this and it wasn't true. So it's sloppy. And
I disagree, but hey, I mean, I'll pass that feedback along to them, and it's up to the board on what you guys want to do with the information. At the end of the day, I made my recommendations.
Is this going to be an annual report?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, pass it along or don't pass it along. The product was given to us; it's already paid for. That's that. But just, I would not support using that vendor in future.
We'll get partial refund.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, do we have any other comments for items not on the agenda? Okay. Unless we have anything else from anybody online, we are ready for a closed session. So we need to not kick off everybody.
Right. I'll leave Tim and Scott in, and I'll put everybody else in the waiting room.
You need to let the people know in the waiting room that when we come back in the open section, they'll be able to vote if they want to go.
Yeah, you'll be put into the waiting room, and then when they go back into open session, I'll let everybody back in.
Because some will not know that. So
that's a good reminder. Yeah. We need to keep our microphones on. So the people we need to talk to.